My name is Lydia Hubbell, and I am in Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm making this video to let people know what's going on in my life and here in Nashville, Tennessee. My daughter is Dilara. She's 8.5 years old, and I have had less than 50 hours of contact with her since June 15, 2015. And my situation is that when I was 41 years old, I got pregnant out of wedlock. My life kind of went crazy, but anyway, so I had this child with a man that was my best friend at the time when I got pregnant, and he wasn't somebody that I wanted to marry. I actually wanted to get back with my ex-husband, but things didn't work out that way. I ended up getting pregnant after just knowing this man for 3 months, and I don't believe in abortion, so I prayed for a miscarriage when I first found out I was pregnant. But God had a purpose for this child, and I welcome, after a few weeks of getting used to the idea and some encouragement from my father, I welcome this child, and I've got two older children with my ex-husbands, so she's the baby of the family, and her father and he dumped me halfway through my pregnancy when I was kind of pushing him for commitment. I mean, I didn't want to raise this baby without him. I don't think children do well without having both parents in their lives, and I didn't want her to feel rejected by her father. And I just had a lot of I was already an emotional mess when I got pregnant, but after I got pregnant it was even worse. So after we were dating for 7.5 months, he just dumped me, and I didn't see him again till after the baby was born. And I was committed to raising this child, and he didn't really know what he wanted to do, because neither one of us, this was a situation neither one of us really, we kind of just fell into it. But for the first 5.5 years of my daughter's life, we co-parented. We had an agreed order. He had his lawyer write it up, and we had joint custody. I had primary residential custody, and on paper I had 185 days and he had 180 days, and that's what the child support was based on. And but for the first couple of years, I was breastfeeding, and he's only got one arm, and he doesn't have any experience with kids, and he wasn't comfortable taking care of it. He didn't spend a minute alone with her till she was almost 2, and then we settled into I guess in fall of 2011, when she was 3, we settled into a schedule that allowed maximum involvement for both of us. He had her Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and I'd get her sometime on Saturday. And he was welcome to call at any time, and I never kept her from contact with him. He never kept me from contact with her. And she got to see both of us every day except Sunday and Monday. Those are the only days he did since fall of 2011. Those are the only 2 days he didn't see her. He could have, even like on holidays, and he's self-employed. I'm on disability, so I'm pretty much focused on being a full-time homemaker. And so even on his days off, on Father's Day, he didn't care anything about taking her on Sunday. It's just another day, I guess. And holidays, Labor Day was a Monday, he could have had her, and he never did. And but we both saw her. I think children need they're best raised in a 2-parent household and have access to both of their parents. And we could give her that, but she did very well in the situation we had. She never had to miss either one of us. She has always had a very good relationship with her dad, and I said this. I've always said this, is he and I have complementary strengths and weaknesses. So between the two of us, when we're both involved in her life to the maximum extent possible, she gets all of her needs met. And but I think, ever from the beginning, he did not want to raise a child with me. And I don't know when exactly he made his mind up. But when she was old enough to go to school, I was basically homeschooling her her whole life. She went to I counted those as his day. Tuesday and Thursday, I counted those as his days from the time she was 2 till the time she was 5.5. He put her in preschool, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And my older kids never went to preschool. And but I counted that as his day. And then when there was no school or when she was sick, I kept her. And things went really well. I mean, we don't really like each other. I would like him a lot more if he liked me, but but I don't have any ill will towards him at all. I really think he's a good person. I think he's a good father. I just do, and I think I'm a good mother and a good person. And but what happened was in April of 2014, which was 3 years ago, he hired a lawyer, and he asked for primary custody, and he made a lot of false accusations. I mean, it's like, he accused me of being mentally ill, and I was like, this is a material change in circumstances. Her health has recently declined significantly, and her mental health is declined significantly, and she's on disability. I've been on disability since like 2001, 2002, and she's unable to interact appropriately with the child, and never mind, I was also raising my 2 older kids who are now, my daughter's almost 20 and my son's 18 and a half. So he made a lot of false accusations. I knew the law was on my side, and he didn't want me to homeschool, because I think that would help. If he could stop me from homeschooling, that would kind of help wean Dilara away from me, because she was used to spending so much time with me. And I didn't think he'd be able to, because the law was on my side. I mean, I had just had her tested. She was academically advanced. She was doing very well socially. The school psychologist who assessed her commented on how mature she seemed for her age. And she was just had a great life. She was happy as she could be, and excited, and she loved homeschooling. And I did actually enroll her in June of 2014, as soon as I could enroll her in kindergarten. She's actually doing like 2nd grade work, mostly, first, second, third grade work. It was kind of the range, because she'd been way past kindergarten. I taught her how to read when she was a toddler, so she was really advanced for her age. But he didn't want to share parenting anymore. And a lot of people say, well, he didn't want to pay the child support, but I don't think it's the money, because he's paying a lot of money for a lawyer now, and he's paying, he's willing to put her in private school and pay, $20,000 a year tuition. And so I don't, my child support, I don't think that was it. I think it's just he wants to raise her by himself, and he doesn't like me. He doesn't like anything about me, and he doesn't think I have anything positive to contribute to Dilara's life, and that's just where we're at. But I thought the law would protect me, even with the homeschooling. It was all on my side. And so I was shocked when the magistrate enjoined me from homeschooling. And I even had a guardian ad litem come out and talk to her, and she didn't say one word against homeschooling. She's kind of like, and as a matter of fact, when she was questioning me, she made me put a lot of information in front of the judge that I would have forgotten about, like my background in early childhood education and you know, just a lot of stuff about my teaching philosophy and stuff. But he denied. He stopped me from homeschooling, and he said, all these wonderful things you're doing, you just do outside of the regular school schedule, like, you know, so we'd call it after schooling, homeschooling after schooling, and you know, weekend summers. So we went through kindergarten year, and she didn't have any really bad behavior problems, but she had some. You know, she wasn't. I don't think she was adequately challenged, especially in kindergarten when you know, her reading teacher was complaining because they had sight words. She learned her sight words when she was 2, and she was like stacking them up on top of her partner's head when they were supposed to be doing some other planned activity. And you know, I feel like if you meet children's needs, you're not going to have much trouble from them. And if you have trouble from your kids, it's because they're not getting their needs met. And so school, you know, public school, it was okay. I felt like she was doing okay. My older 2 kids went to almost the whole time went to public school, and then, you know, I was a primary caregiver. I shared custody with my ex-husband, and but still, I did a lot of enrichment with him. I took him to Scouts, took him to church, and I was actually, you know, one of the Scout leaders. And you know, when they went to program, I tried to do stuff with them, but they always had plenty of stuff to do and be engaged in. And so at kindergarten, she did okay through the year, and I was concerned about some of her behavior and her not being, she picked up some bad habits too, because she was not the worst child at the school, and because she's in kindergarten. So, but I think you should nip things in the bud, and I tried to work with the teachers to you know, that she wasn't disruptive, and I tried to encourage the teachers to give her more challenging work. And the second half of kindergarten, they did figure out how to put her in first grade for reading, and she did a lot better after that. Instead of being 2.5 hours in a reading block where she was supposed to be learning how to read, you know, they put her in first grade for that time, and that was good. But at the end of kindergarten, I was looking forward to spending the summer with her, and then her dad tells me that he's going to sign her up for summer camp. It's 10-week summer vacation. He was signing her up for all but like 2 weeks. And I told him that was not fair, and that was contempt of court, because that was, you know, when they stopped me from homeschooling, they just robbed me of 800 hours a year of time I had been used to spending with her whole life. I think that's 800 hours. That's not counting the Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday and Thursday that she was in preschool. That's the Monday, Wednesday, Friday that they took away those prime learning hours. So he went and lied to we were in juvenile court because we weren't married, and we were in the middle of a custody trial because he was trying to take primary custody, and he was asking that my time be limited to every other weekend. And so he went, instead of letting me have the summer, which is what the magistrate who stopped me from homeschooling had in mind in the first place, when he said, you could do all these wonderful things you do, just do them, you know, outside of the regular school schedule. He went to Third Circuit Court, Judge Philip Robinson, and he lied like the devil, he and his lawyer both. And I've got proof that he lied, but those order protection hearings are very short. In fact, the judge was actually complaining to the, and I've got that video. I can share it with anybody who wants to see it. Yeah, so he got this order protection. My daughter's dad asked for no contact between me and Dilara for a year, and the judge signed off on it, and he thought I was crazy. I mean, really, they perpetrated a fraud on the judge, and I didn't have a lawyer, and my daughter's dad did, and I wasn't really worried, because how could you do that? Without showing any harm to the child? And he didn't get me for any kind of. The complaint was stalking, and he lied in his affidavit and said that he had custody and I was harassing him because I was wanting more time than the courts would allow. Total lie. And I told the judge he's lying. But the lawyers have a lot more credibility in the eyes of the judge. So if it's your word against a lawyer's judge, they're going to go with a lawyer every time. I mean, they're in the same club. So, and then... So I lost primary custody because when we had our last day of trial, it's like, oh, well, you know, the mother can't see the child for a year, so the judge pretty much had to, I don't know what else she could have done. She could have put everything on hold for a year or made a temporary order that we could have come back for. But so I didn't see my daughter for a year. Went from seeing her every day to not seeing her for a year, and that was really hard on her. And started her emotional decline, and she went to a different school. She started having behavior problems right off the bat, and emotional problems. She complained to her, she was seeing a therapist, and she was complaining about being sad and worried and afraid she'd never see her mom again, and afraid her dad had put her mom in jail, and just a lot of things that well, how old was she? 6.5-year-old. You should burden your child with all these worries. She was happy, and then she went to having her whole life turned upside down. And she lost her church friends, she lost her neighbor friends, she lost her pets, she lost her, her contact with her brother and sister was extremely restricted. And that's just a lot. And but it's like whatever he asked for and his lawyer asked for and says, oh, it's in the child's best interest, somehow he managed to get it. So the order of protection expired in June of 2016, and the court order that the judge ended up doing in that first trial restricted my visitation. No abuse, no neglect, nothing to justify me having supervised visitation, except that there's that order of protection, even though it was for stalking, and nothing against the child. They asked for supervised visitation, and the guardian ad litem, Charlena Pymack, was the guardian ad litem. Sarah Rice Digby was my daughter's dad, still is my daughter's dad's lawyer. And Dilara's guardian ad litem was basically another lawyer for my daughter's dad. Everybody knew what my daughter wanted. She wanted to go back to the old schedule. In the first custody thing, she wanted to go back to the old schedule. She wanted to be homeschooled because she liked spending time with me. I mean, my time was already it's already limited because I'm sharing custody with her dad. And but I felt like that she needed that, so I wanted to make the most of the time I had available without interfering in his time. So she wanted the same. We wanted the same thing, but the guardian ad litem asked for whatever my daughter's dad asked for, which is opposite of what my daughter wanted and needed. So that first custody trial, I lost everything, and they gave him all decision making, and didn't give me not one day. I went from 185 days of parenting time to 0, and that's against the law. The law says you should. I mean, in Tennessee, it pushes pretty much 50-50. But anyway, so when the order of protection expired and she's in first grade at Gower, we're supposed to have two months of supervised visitation, 4 hours a week of supervised visitation, and then 8 hours a week unsupervised if those 4 hours went okay, and they did. But when it was time for me to have my unsupervised, my daughter's dad had a fit and got really hostile with the lady who'd been supervising our visitation for 2 months. Of course, there's nothing. To have this supervised visitation, you've got to show that there will be harm to the child if you don't. So that's for people who have abused their kids, or who are mentally ill, or who have drug problems, or there's some risk, serious risk of harm, or they have harmed the child. None of that. I have none of that. So So then I got stuck with supervised visitation, and he actually wouldn't even let me have even that for several months. And he's just done various things. He's had me arrested 4 times. He's had me arrested 4 times on false allegations, and everything he's had me arrested for has been resolved in my favor. And he's just done a lot to. He doesn't want me in my daughter's life at all, 0, and he's shown that. And she's doing horribly. I mean, she did horribly in 1st grade academically. I mean, when I look at her, like her test scores and stuff, they're up and down. But you know, if you test high, you know that you're capable of doing that. But might have, 97 on one assessment and then have like 60 on another one. So it's just. She's not compliant. She kind of does what she wants to do. She doesn't want to do it. She doesn't do it. She's taken out a lot of frustration out on her. She's really been this year. She's been really aggressive towards adults and teachers. She's been suspended. She's in 2nd grade. She's had 10 days out of school suspension for bad behavior. She's bitten a lady. It wasn't a bad bite, but it was. She scratched her with her tooth, and she knocked over some desks and broke her teacher's foot, and the kids in her class are scared of her. And this is not the child I knew when I was in her life on a daily basis. And then when there's supervised visitation with her, it's like we never said goodbye. I mean, we didn't lose our bond. She's comfortable. She wants to come home. When can I come home? And I say, well, you've got 2 homes. Can I come to your home? And then I've had these gag orders put on me, and it's just really really messed up. And but anyway, May 10th and 12th is the new trial. We have material change of circumstances. He's in contempt for not letting me have my court-ordered parenting time in September and October, and interfering in my relationship with my daughter in other ways. And I want what I wanted 3 years ago. I want to go back to the old schedule. I want him to have maximum involvement. I want him to pay the child support he was paying. And I want to homeschool her because I can accommodate her needs better than the public school can. Obviously, if you look at how she was doing with me at home, and the things that she does with me when I've had my visitation with her, she's engaged, she's interested, she lights up, and she's very creative. She's not getting her needs met, and her dad doesn't care and how she feels. And I know he loves her. But, and she knows he loves her. But she knows he's got some problems, and problems with me, and problems, just whatever his problems are. I've been in counseling for 6.5 years straight, and she's been in counseling for 2 years. He's the one, I keep saying he needs to be in counseling. But, he wants to just say I'm the problem. So I'm putting my story out there on video. And I've got some videos on YouTube too that some of them I might have blocked for now because I've had, gag orders. I've been trying to not be too bad about thumbing my nose at unlawful infringements on my right to free speech. But I'm on disability. I don't have any. That's my only income. I'm having to get. Friends and family are having to just even subsidize my living expenses right now, and I can't work. My health has deteriorated so much. I used to work part-time. I can't even do that with all the stress of the court. And I'm asking for people to help. Several things. I need money for my lawyer, Connie Regularly in Brentwood, Tennessee. She's an excellent lawyer, and she's going to be representing me, and I owe her. I hired her late in the game, But I have to have her. There is no way in the world. I might not ever see my daughter again if I didn't have a lawyer. That's how bad it is. And this is Nashville, Tennessee, and the family court's corrupt. It's corrupt everywhere. You can't ever. It's almost like a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen if you go to court. And it shouldn't be that way. I mean, judges should follow the law, and perjury should be punished. I mean, if they would just punish perjury, that would take care of a lot of the injustice. But I'm asking for donations. I'm going to put this on GoFundMe. So this is for donations for my attorney, and I am asking that if I win, that he pay her. But I already owe her like $7,000, and what is it now? Maybe it's, I don't know what it is, but on GoFundMe, that's kind of like an estimate of what I had. It's pretty close. I was hoping it would get us through at least the first day of the trial, plus all the arrearages, plus the first day of trial, and but this isn't just about me. This is about, I mean, if this happened to me, this could happen to any child, any family. I'm totally innocent. I did nothing. I did nothing to harm my child. I did nothing to harm my daughter's dad. And I haven't, I'm law-abiding. I go to church 3 times a week. I'm a good mom, and I try to treat other people the way I want to be treated. But I like justice, and I like accountability. And we need judicial accountability, and we need to be spreading stories like my story. This never should have happened to my daughter. And I ask that you'll share this, and maybe follow me on Facebook, Lydia Lydia, Hubbell, Hubbell, and just realize that just because somebody's accused of something, that doesn't mean they're guilty, and you don't have to do anything wrong to get arrested. And lawyers need to be held accountable and for following the law and administering justice and supporting the Constitution. So please share. Thank you, and donate if you can. Thanks.